Hungry dogs run fast.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into my dog's favorite podcast, the Dynasty Dogs, brought to you by the double FU for you. That is the fantasy football universe. I am your host for this evening, Michael Anthony. Alongside me, as I guess kind of always, because I do a show with these guys every week called the Triple Threat Podcast on the Dynasty DNA network, are my good friends, TJ Blake and Nick. Let's first say hello to, as also known as Wizz, by the way. I saw Nick there, and I was like, oh, that's a little weird. But anyway, TJ Blake, the founder and the Darth Sidious of the Dynasty DNA network, is on here with us. How you doing, TJ?
I'm doing good, Mike. Love to come on as always. And yeah, Wizz. Come on, that's like chump change name. There he's got on there. He did that to throw you off, Mike.
I know he did.
Don't let it bother you. Don't let it bother you.
He's got his little Waluigi mustache growing right now. If you guys are familiar with Waluigi, take a Google and then look at Wizz's mustache. He's going Darth side on us like his boss TJ Blake here. But Wizz, you were the guy that signed up to be the defender of the rights of Roman Wilson fan club. So how are you, Wizz?
Oh man, I'm doing good, especially after that roast I didn't know I signed up for. I thought we were here.
Well, you brought it up. That was the problem. You were gonna get away with it. I was gonna give you a nice intro, but you stepped right in it. You brought it up.
like what did I do to bring? Your wife's gonna talk to you again, Mike, about being nice to me, and it's
that's true. I won't play the episodes in front of her. Episodes.
Just skip past the intro. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But tonight we have a very fun and Halloween-centric episode because this episode will be out Saturday, which is obviously the day after Halloween. But we are doing this an hour before Halloween begins, technically, at 11 o'clock at night. So we are going to do a trick-or-treat segment where I'm going to ask these guys, are these players right now a trick or a treat? Do we think their dynasty value is going to maybe rise or fall, or is it right where it should be or right where it not should be? I'll let them kind of go where they would like to go with it. Now we're going to do a fear factor. Some guys that are kind of underperformed. Are they scary? Are we terrified of this? Are they on the Michael Myers type section of the fear, or are they on like a now that we're adults, Chucky's not that scary anymore, right? He's just a doll. Is he more of a Chucky kind of fear factor? But let's get right into the trick or treat. And I really want to start with somebody, and he was in my extras, but I moved him up into the main segment here because this is a guy you guys, hated on for a long time last year. And I want to just start right out the gate with this player. That is going to be the wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, Troy Franklin. Currently, wide receiver 23 overall and wide receiver 37 in points per game with 12. Wide receiver 39 on keep trade cut. What do you guys think? We'll start with you, TJ. What are you thinking of Troy Franklin right now?
So if we're going for the trick or the treat theme here, it's for Troy Franklin for me. If everyone goes back and listens to some of the thoughts I had on Troy Franklin previously, them thoughts have not changed. So it is definitely a trick for me and not a treat. Now, let me just say this about Troy Franklin. We got to kind of look at this Denver offense as what it is. Like, it's Sean Payton's system. Bo Nix is obviously the most prevalent weapon you want in that team, no matter what, obviously being the quarterback. But RJ Harvey, your guy, Mike, has come on, looked pretty good in this system. Cortland Sutton, to me, I just don't really want nothing to do too much with this Denver wide receiver room outside of Cortland Sutton. It's almost Green Bay-esque to me. It's like, who could it be one week or the other? I'm not saying Troy Franklin's the worst player in the world. It's a little too crowded for me. I just never loved the player from the film process. And, I just see them potentially maybe even adding to this mess at some point, right? Like, I think they're still searching to find that one true guy. I know that Bryant finally, did something as well out of that, this past week. So I just think it's kind of boom or busty. You might get a boom bust type of a performance out of Troy Franklin, but it's going to be more bust than boom. I just really feel that way. And I know your guy, Marvin Mims, Mike. I mean, I'm giving you credit. Like, I would rather have Marvin Mims.
Wow. That's kind of shocking, to be honest with you.
That's a hope and a prayer. Like, I'm not, Troy Franklin's not my cup of tea. Like, I mean, if I can move him and get something else, I think I would. So I'm just going to go more trick than treat.
Are you kind of surprised right now where he's at fantasy-wise with the wide receiver 37 in points per game and wide receiver 23 overall in total points? Is that surprising to you?
I mean, not really, because like someone else is going to have to, like, I think they were counting on Evan Ingram to be that guy behind Cortland Sutton, and we just haven't seen it, right? Like, someone's going to have to get the majority of that. As I said, I've seen Bryant come on. What's going to happen between the Franklin and Bryant thing? Like, I still think that there's going to be some targets to be waned out from there, but I just, like I said, I think that maybe we're seeing the ceiling of Troy Franklin. That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you have him, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world, but like, I'm looking to maybe upgrade, trade for another receiver I like and have more faith in that potentially might have a bigger ceiling. Like, I could definitely think about it. There probably could be some names that could come to me, right? And I could think about it, but I would try to use this as more of a opportunity to sell, because I just don't see much more of a ceiling, in my opinion. Like, I think Cortland Sutton is that guy there.
Yeah, I tend to kind of agree, but let's see what Wiz has to say. Wiz, what do you think? Trick or treat on Troy Franklin?
Yeah, I mean, TJ made a lot of good points about Troy Franklin, right? I mean, well, he's got moved to the slot, which I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, when he was out on the field, he's kind of just like that. He was kind of the field stretcher, just kind of running clear routes. And now he's in the slot. He's benefiting from being in the slot role there in Denver, right? I think kind of Evan Ingram being a little disappointing this season definitely has benefited a guy like Troy Franklin that's playing a lot of slot snaps. This past week, right? 43.3%, 52 the week before. And he just kind of fluctuates around there. I mean, all in all, I mean, where you got him in rookie drafts, right? In a fourth, third round. I mean, I'm happy with what you would have gotten, right? It's a lot better than what, early in the process, right? Everyone was saying he was a back end first round pick. And that just turned out not to be true. But I mean, overall, I mean, he's definitely exceeded my expectations for him. I didn't see this coming up, especially a wide receiver 1 overall performance, a week leader this past week there in Dallas. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good time to move him, right? Like you said, what you see is wide receiver 35 on KTC. Like, I'd rather just pivot
39,
that. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather just pivot that, right? Just get someone a little bit better. I think he just is I think this is a nice trick that he's doing right now.
So that's the last thing I want to add, Mike, because I think you'd like this. Like, Khalil Shakir, like, could I take Troy Franklin and go get a guy like Khalil Shakir? You know what I mean? Like, if I could take advantage of that, I'm going to do it. But I'm going to let you turn into your talk on Troy Franklin, because I'm interested to see where you're at too.
No, I think, honestly, I like Troy Franklin, but if he is, getting around that Khalil Shakir range, or if I could add a third to him and get Khalil Shakir, I'd be all aboard doing that. So he is a trick for me as well, but it's not because I don't like the player. It's kind of more of like what you said with this Denver Broncos offense, spreading the football around, using a lot of the running game, using the running game, the running backs to affect the passing game as well. So it is going to be boom or bust for him. I do like what they're doing with him, though. Wiz mentioned the slot. They're getting the ball to him out in space. He's 13th in the league with yards after catch at 5.2. So that's a pretty solid number. And that's kind of something that he did well on film that they kind of avoided last year, which was kind of surprising. But I do think if right now he is a good sell, a good trick right now because you're going to get some good value for him. I think a mid-second, maybe even a late second right now is probably right about where he's at. And if you could add a third onto him to get a steady Eddie guy and Khalil Shakir, like TJ mentioned, I'd be all about doing that. What do you guys think on that?
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. It's just like this. It's like going to Halloween. You don't want to go to the dentist the day after. If you keep Troy Franklin, you might make a trip to the dentist. You got to be careful. So, yeah, I love that move, Mike. If I get Khalil Shakir, upgrade into more of a secure player like that I believe in, that got paid, that fits that offense in Buffalo really well, like, I'm definitely moving in that direction. Give me the consistency year in and year out of a guy like Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm going to go into the next guy here for the trick or treat, and it's going to be a Wiz favorite, right? And this look, I'm going to give you your flowers on this one because you were right. That is going to be one DeAndre Swift, running back for the Chicago Bears. Currently running back 11 in total points, running back 12 in points per game at 15.9. Still has another year on that contract. He's 26 years old currently. Running back 24 on keep, trade, cut. Wizz, we'll start with you here. Trick or treat on DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift's kind of an interesting player, right? Like if you kind of watch a little bit of his film and like actually analyze what he's doing when he's not getting the ball, right? Is he making the offense better in any sort of way? You would watch one game and be like, oh, he's doing a lot. Like he could be the guy for the future for Chicago. And then the next game, you're like, he's not really blocking at all. Like it looks like he's not making an effort. Like he's such a streaky player that's it's really weird, like in the national, like to watch pros be real streaky of effort they want to give in. And that I feel like that's where DeAndre Swift is kind of at, right? I want to see kind of where Kyle Monangai is coming up. But I mean, what the Bears have behind DeAndre Swift is nothing threatening. So, I mean, right, this season, he is going to keep excelling, right? I think, obviously, I don't think he's going to finish as a top 12 RB. I think he might slip back to 16 or something like that towards the end of the season. But what Chicago has behind him is nothing threatening. Like Kyle Monangai, he's just a bruiser back, right? Just a really like a poor man's Jamal Williams type of thing. And Roschon Johnson just never turned out to who we thought he could be in the National Football League, which I don't think we saw a high ceiling out of him anyways, but he still hasn't hit the low standard for him, right? I'm from what I've seen, I think Bears are trying to target a running back in before the trade deadline, so that's kind of a little interesting. Well, kind of curious what his value is, Mike. What did you say he is on KTC?
He is running back 24 on keep, trade, cut. So he's just barely a running back too on keep, trade, cut. Yeah, I'll be honest, I feel like that. Like if I got him at RB 19 or 18, I'd feel pretty okay with that because he's still only 26 years old too.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? When you have a guy that's producing, like he's worth more to your team if you're contending than selling. And that's kind of where I'm at. So I guess for the sake of this season, he's probably a treat, but it's not one of the good ones, right? It's like it's just like one of those mystery flavors of like the Airheads, and you bite into it and it's not the one you wanted. You're like, dang it, I didn't want this one, but I'm still gonna eat it because it's in my mouth now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of
TJ, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, look, I kind of have to agree with what Wizz said there, and being honest, Wizz, I'm surprised. I know you love this guy, like Chicago, the glazing it went on. But yeah, it's like the Fruities. Like, you remember them vanilla Fruities? Like, they sucked. You wanted, like, the blue ones or the green ones. Like, no one wanted those. And, like, I definitely see where you're coming from with DeAndre Swift. Now, I do agree. I think he's semi a treat here, but you got to be careful because he can pull wool over your eyes. I always gave Kenneth Walker a hard time, always saying, look, beware of the wolf in sheep's clothing, right? I've always said that about Kenneth Walker. DeAndre Swift's kind of semi in that same camp too. You look at this right now, right? I mean, the last 3 weeks have been great, but you go back to the weeks prior. I mean, running back 20, running back 23, 23, 27. Like, I mean, he's just so all over the place. He's all over the map. And if you look at these last 3 games, the snap shares have gone down. Now, against Baltimore, we kind of know that I know he's been dealing with a groin too. That's something else that DeAndre Swift's famous for is the injury problems. I will say this. Look, I guess this would be my approach with DeAndre Swift. I'm not particularly going to go out and buy him and think he's going to win me a championship. If I have him, if I can't trade him, I'll ride it out and see what happens. But like maybe I use him and try to get up into another running back, right? If someone wants to buy into the hype again, or if someone wants to take a chance, right? Like if you're going to a team that's less contending, right? I know, Wizz, that there's some players out there that you like. I mean, what would it take to get into like Christian McCaffrey? Like, I mean, would that cost me less if I traded a player like DeAndre Swift with a pick? I mean, maybe, right? Like maybe it would cost less to do something like that. So I have no problems in trying to upgrade my roster from DeAndre Swift if I'm contending. And if I have him, it's not the worst thing in the world, I guess, if I have to hold him. But he's someone I just don't trust real super long.
Okay. TJ, for KTC wise, Jaylen Warren and DeAndre Swift are right next to each other. So which one of the two that you hate and despise? Or pick your poison.
I understand your hatred for Jaylen Warren, though. I love Jaylen Warren.
Well, it's the fumbles. It's just like key moments. It's stupid things that you just don't see on the stat sheet that drive me crazy about Jaylen Warren. But like another guy that was undrafted. Now he did get a little wee bit of a contract there from the Steelers. I think they're going to have him around. He's a Steeler type guy, but like I would take Swift over Warren just for the look. I think he's got more vitality long-term in the league, in my opinion, than what Jalen Warren will end up with. I mean, this year I could see it being close, nip and tuck. It could go back and forth, but I think long-term vitality, go ahead and give me DeAndre Swift over Jalen Warren there.
Yeah, I could see that. I do think I would take Swift as well. I kind of like what what they've done with him, especially with the outside runs. Anytime it's over in the middle, runs in the middle, it's been terrible. But anytime they have a chance of bounces to the outside or receptions out of the backfield, it's been great. I'm going to call DeAndre Swift a treat. Right. I kind of disagree with you, TJ. I do think he could be a nice RB2 for a contending roster. I mean, he's putting up 15.9 points per game at this current time, and the offense really hasn't hit its click yet, right? Other than a few samples in between these past 8 weeks. But I think that, I'd be okay with giving up like a second, maybe plus a third to get a DeAndre Swift and on a contending roster. Because I also know he's probably the RB1 on that team, or at least a solid handcuff next year on this roster. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I agree. And as far as that price, like I don't mind that. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's someone I'm not specifically seeking out. Now, if that's the best you can get, I don't have a problem with it. But, I think one thing we got to do, as far as the dynasty community goes too, and you guys know this, you played fantasy football a long time, redraft, dynasty, whatever. I build a lot of contending rosters, so I kind of look ahead, right? Because it's all about this year. Like, you always want to be 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps ahead in Dynasty, no doubt. But, like, while these games are being played, if you have a contending roster, the way I look at it is a one-season deal. Like, I'm going this year, I'm focusing on that right now. And you look at DeAndre Swift's schedule from weeks 11 to week 17, not real friendly either. So that's just something to look at too. So just in the back of your mind. But like you said, Mike, second, third round, or maybe a second and a third or something. If that's the best you can get to add depth, I don't mind that. But he's just someone I'm not specifically shopping for, I should say.
Is 2-2s too much for you, Wiz?
Yeah, that's way too much. I mean, like a 2-2s, right? I feel like that can get you a better back, right? I mean, like, if I had DeAndre Swift and I want to sell him, right? Say I was a rebuilder, I probably need 2-2s to move him, but I would not buy him for that, and I would not sell him for a second, which is what I would want to buy him at.
Yeah, a third I'd be okay throwing that in.
I mean, a third at the end of the day, it's not going to break. It's not going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So
let's go with a higher value wide receiver right now. And I put out a tweet earlier today on whether you think this guy is a top 5 dynasty wide receiver, but Keep Trade Cut currently has him as a wide receiver 3 overall. That's going to be one Jackson Smith-Njigba, JSN. Is he a trick? Is he a treat? Is he for real? Right now, he is first in receiving yards, 4th in targets and receptions. And he had a bye week already, which is fucking insane to think about. He has 99 more yards than the closest wide receiver, and he's already not had a bye week. What do you guys think? We'll start with you here, TJ. JSN, trick or treat? Is he for real?
100% treat. 100%. I mean, you got to give it to this guy, man. Like, I just think that so many people get caught up in what ifs and this and that. Like, we've seen it last year, and, every year it's always a disparity of things that goes on that people say, oh, what about this? What about that? But like you look at last year, right, with JSN. Well, he didn't play that much. He doesn't look great. What's wrong with him? That was coming off his rookie year. Then he steps in, has a really good, respectable year. And everyone's like, okay, well, now DK Metcalf's gone, right? Now DK Metcalf's gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. Can he be the number 1 true guy? Oh, not to mention now Geno Smith's gone. And now you got Sam Darnold. Man, they want to run the ball. They're going to be a running team. No, this team is driven by JSN. Make no mistake about it. Like, and I even said about Kenneth Walker, like, I just wasn't interested. I knew this was going to happen. I didn't know JSN would look this good. I didn't believe that, but I just knew that the running game, I just didn't think it was going to be as strong as everyone thought it would be because I didn't trust the running back. So now you got JSN. He is the clear alpha target there, and that's what I love. I mean, they got some other guys that could play. Cooper Kupp, I mean, he's on the back 9. But, I mean, he's just a solid guy there. I mean, Torrey Horton looks like he's shown flashes of promise. Maybe down the line a nice prospect. But, like, JSN is the Seattle Seahawks offense. If you want, and that's what I love when you target these guys, like give me him because he's getting over the biggest chunk of percentage that they have to muster on offense, and it's all going to him. And if you could just tell me, yeah, give me a player on a team that's basically got all this from a team and their fantasy offense coming his way, you're getting basically their whole offense through him. That's huge, man, for points. So, yeah, I mean, you're looking at a guy slam dunk top 5 dynasty asset right now in my eyes. Like, I think it's there. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's top 3, top 2, but I mean, as far as top 5, he is definitely there in dynasty rankings for me at this point.
Yeah, for me as well. I have a hard time keeping him out of my top 5. I'm still kind of messing with my ranks right now. I should have it done by the end of the weekend, but he has just been an absolute monster this season, especially with, the tea leaves all off season. They're going to move JSN around the line of scrimmage. He's going to be used everywhere, and that's what they've done with him. And he put out an absolute bar this evening when they asked him about being a wide receiver. He said, being a wide receiver is like being a salesperson. You have to sell something to get something. And man, that really got me all hot and bothered. I had to get a shower after that, a cold shower after that one, because this dude's been cooking the league right now. Wizz, we'll let you close this one out. What do you think? Trick or treat, at least being a top 5 dynasty wide receiver for JSN?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of comes around to the age of guys, right? You have the Amon-Ra's, the Jeffersons, CeeDee Lamb, right? They're all 26, about to go on 27, right? And we kind of see the dip off, especially in speed around 29, 30. So you have about 2-3 years on these guys before they start slipping down, right? And then you obviously have outliers like Mike Evans, right? But he doesn't win from speed, right? He wins from physicality. So I think honestly, like top 3, I think that's probably a trick right now. I mean, a treat right now. Sorry, I fucked it up. But
I was gonna say, oh no,
no, I definitely think it's a treat right now. I mean, just kind of, projecting out in Dynasty, right? You're playing long term, right? At this point, is it that hot of a take to flip Jefferson straight up for JSN right now? I mean, before the season started, that would be. You know what I mean?
That's a spicy meatball right there, but I like it. I think you can still even get something on top, but I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you get anything on top, right? I mean, KTC has Jefferson at 4. One spot.
Oh shit, I haven't seen that. Okay.
So it's I don't know. It's one of those things, and I mean, I'm down to have the conversation at some point, right? When are we going to start falling off, like the Josh Allens of the world? Because he is 28. Mahomes is 29.
I think.
Yeah, and it's like you have the new wave coming in, so like. Is it one of those things where we push it too far ahead? I don't think so. I think he's proven it right. Seattle's offense is a very hyper-efficient offense. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. I mean, the way they win games is by making high completion throws and running the football. That's what they do. It's very Raven Steelers-esque kind of style of playing football. They're just doing a better job than what both of our teams are doing right now, TJ, that's for sure. And it's just crazy the flip on it. I mean, Sam Darnold, that's another treat right there from what it was last season. But I 100% agree with you guys on JSN being a treat right now.
And let me just say this. I want to add this because, my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, like they add DK Metcalf. Like it was like no problem for Seattle. They're like, okay, yeah, go ahead. We'll take a second, no problem. So like that should have told you a lot right there. The fact that the confidence level they had in JSN, going into the season. I mean, NFL teams, GMs, they get paid a lot of money and they knew he could do it and they believed in him, and it's definitely working out that way.
And also I think a lot of it also is that DK's he's a good vertical threat, and that's not really Sam Darnold's bread and butter. So when you have a thing, it's like DK's gonna get mad, he's gonna go fight a net like OBJ does, and it's like, do you want that in the team, So
yeah, I was super high on JSN coming out of Ohio State, right? And we should have probably paid attention from when Garrett Wilson and Olave were saying that JSN was the best wide receiver in that wide receiver room. And that included Marvin Harrison Jr., that included both those guys and JSN, and they told us he was the best. We're seeing it firsthand, right? It just took a little longer than we kind of hoped, but it's here now, and I can't fault anyone for thinking like Wizz with, moving on from Jefferson to get to him. But, I've even tried to go Malik Neighbors 1-for-1 and I got rejected outright. So That's how high his value is right now. We love to see it. But we have to talk about one of the biggest value swings in all of fantasy football right now, especially from a dynasty aspect. And that is going to be one tight end, Oronde Gadsden. Keep trade cuts. Tight end 6. I see Wiz shaking his head. Yeah. There was no way he was even in this stratosphere before this season started. Tight end 3 so far, tight end 4 in points per game in weeks 5 through 8. He really has come on. 3rd on the team in targets, but 5th for the position in yards, 13th in receptions, 4th in yards per reception. Wiz, we'll start with you here. Trick or treat on Oronde Gadsden and his dynasty value.
Yeah, for the triple threat show, I really wanted for him to be my buy, and I was setting out offers before they played Thursday night last week, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, last Thursday.
Yeah. So I sent it out, I think Wednesday, like a bunch, like seconds and a third for Oronde, and I got a couple through, and then the blow up game happened again. I was like, oh, dang it, there goes that chance. And that's why I didn't use him as a buy, right? Because I think now, right, you're paying for him. But yeah, what a treat you got in your waiver wire, because I saw him on the waiver wire in a bunch of leagues, and I wish I was more active and paying attention to those leagues. And a 4th round, 5th round draft pick, right? For dynasty purposes, where you got him, I think he's gonna be a long term. Is a common thing that I've been doing to people in the DMs trying to acquire him is like, yeah, hopefully he doesn't have a Greg Dulcich type of year. You
Dick.
Hey, I'm trying to make him so, all right.
Of course you would bring that up, Wiz. Of course.
Hey, we had a sighting today. He caught a couple passes today against the Ravens, but no, I mean overall, yeah, Oronde Gadsden. I think he's fitting. I feel like he's like a nice Loveland comp. Like not as good as Loveland, but I think he fills that same role, like what they want Tyler Conklin to be, right? That vertical threat in there that could eat the inside and just kind of make teams respect the tight end instead of just focus on Lamont McConkey or Keenan Allen or whatever. You have to spread the whole entire defense out, and then I think that fits right into Greg Roman's playbook of what he wants to do. So.
Yeah, before we get into you, TJ, here and what you have to say, but I call him a bad pair of jeans. He's just a seam splitter. He's really, crushing it out there. Our co-founder at the FFU, Jeremy Schulman, had a trade earlier today, and I want to get your guys' opinion on it. 12-team Superflex PPR. Looks like there's no tight end premium. He sent Oronde Gadsden and a 26 first for Caleb Williams and Elijah Arroyo. TJ, we'll start with you on this. Where do you side on that trade?
Honestly, I mean, depending on what the team needs are, like I couldn't blame them if you need quarterback help, right? Like, I mean, that's something to definitely look at. I'm not wild about 2026 draft capital, especially if it's mid to late 2026 draft capital. So, like, I mean, look, I like Oronde Gadsden. I really do. And he's more of a treat to me as well. I do like the Caleb Williams side of this just a little bit more. I still am someone that's going to sit here and say I don't believe in Caleb Williams. I do. Like, I think that Ben Johnson can still get this thing figured out. They got to get it turned around. DJ Moore, like that experiment ain't working. I think if I'm the Bears, I try to move him on, and try to get this down to where it's Roma Dunze, see what you have in Luther Bird and Colston Love and the guys you picked, right? Try to see what you have in them. But yeah, like I think that just being, a quarterback league, give me Caleb Williams here. And, Oronde Gadsden, no disrespect to Oronde Gadsden, because I do like the player. And I think that he really fits in that Chargers offense as well. I just think the value is a little too good on the Caleb side. And look, I mean, he is the number 1 overall pick. I just don't see them replacing him in a year. Like, I think he's still going to get more kicks at the can too. So I don't know how you guys feel, but I lean that way. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they got a tight end that we all liked on the Triple Threat podcast as well, and Elijah Arroyo. So I prefer the Caleb Williams side too, especially in Superflex. We're going to talk about Caleb here in the fear section, a little teaser there. So we'll save a little bit of the Caleb discussion. But you had Oronde as a treat going forward, TJ. What is that? What we're going with?
Yeah, because we should have seen this coming a little bit more when he did land with the Chargers. We go back to like pre-draft discussions. Like a lot of people were like, oh, Colston Loveland to the Chargers. Like so many people were hoping that. They've always needed a tight end. and I always say this about the Chargers. The one thing I'll give the Chargers credit for is they know what they want. They're like a basketball team. They love these big guys, like that are semi-quick, quicker than you think that they are. And, this kills Quentin Johnson. I've been saying it for 2 weeks. I'm like, right now, if you have him, try to get rid of him, because we talked about him. Here he is, and there he goes. That's Quentin Johnson. And really, to me, Oronde Gadsden's going to take that work, because Herbert has eyes for him, and he's getting open, and he does a lot of the similar things. And then in the red zone, like we know Quentin Johnson was fed by touchdowns. And I see Oronde Gadsden being able to steal some of that work for him. We see Lab McConkey starting to come on a little bit more. We know that they will want to run the ball more when Hampton does get back. They like to run the ball. So, I'm all about Oronde Gadsden, young guy in an offense, a good offense that I think will use him, especially in the red area. That's what I love. The big basketball team, Chargers. I think that it's a good fit, and I like the player, and I do definitely think it's a treat. There is no smoke screen with Oronde Gadsden. I think we're going to see more, and we're going to see, him be more consistent down the line. I think he's going to be a consistent, good player.
To change the question slightly, is he a buy or a sell? You just said, Wiz, that he's pretty much almost untouchable now to buy. Would you sell Oronde? Would you tear down maybe a Harold Fannin, a Mason Taylor? Are you riding with Oronde there? Is there any other tight end maybe that you could think of that you would tear down to? Or are you sticking with him at this point?
Well, it's like this. I do think that if I could tear into Harold Fannin, if I could tear into him and get a decent plus back, I will do that. I mean, look, you got to give Harold Fannin credit. I don't care. And I said this about Quinshawn Judkins. I said this about Harold Fannin. If you can look good on that god-awful Forsaken Browns team, you can play. And these guys can play. It was a good, draft for the Browns as far as getting some of the right weaponry in the cabinet there. But yeah, if I could tear down into Harold Fannin and get a nice plus back, I'll do that. And I will say this. If there's an opportunity for Muse, Oronde Gadsden to tier up into Trey McBride, into Brock Bowers, if that's even possible, if that's even on the docket, I'm doing it. So I think that were both really good ideas.
Wiz?
Yeah, it's I think right at this point right now, you miss the train. And if you're going to buy him, you're going to be overpaying. Even Harold Fanning, his value is shot up too. He's 2 spots behind Gadsden and KTC right now. He's a tight end 8. And then you have Loveland behind him. Kyle Pitts is at tight end 11 right now, which is crazy. He's ahead of Kincaid, which kind of hurts my heart a little bit, Mike. I'm sure.
Kincaid's been all right.
Yeah, but Kyle Pitts is ahead of him right now in KTC. We need to fix that, refresh it a bunch of times till we get Kyle Pitts and hit sell on him. But no, you missed the trade. You can go out and try to pay. Go ahead and send those offers out of what you want to pay. I saw a 28 first and a 27 second for him in a league, and I was like, that's a long ways away. And I think I might take the pick, especially if I don't need the points this year, right? But then again, it's if he continues this trajectory, he's gonna be a tight end. He's gonna be a top 5 tight end by the end of the year. So. I don't know. You could overpay now and then hope that he continues that thing, or just kind of wait and see, I guess.
The last point I want to add though about tight ends, and you guys know this, you've seen it. Everyone gets so hyped up, and then next year it's a disappointment. Look what happened to Brock Bowers. I know it's kind of injury related, but everyone just is kind of forgetting about it. He was so hot, and he should be, because he's an amazing tight end, but he was so hot coming off that rookie year. Everyone was willing to pay whatever for him. And right now, look at the value, how it's gone down, because these guys fluctuate, man. It's a hard position in the NFL, and it's a very hard position to be super elite a long time. That's why if you have a Travis Kelce, if you have some of these guys like a Gronk, these guys are legends. They are the guys, they are the standard for the tight end position. They're there each and every year, but a lot of these guys fluctuate in and out. And then maybe you're going to be like, man, I way overpaid for this guy next year, and I could have bought him cheaper. And then the next year he does what he's doing this year. It's no consistency at times.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it's been for the last 3-4 years, right? Because you had Kyle Pitts, tight end 1 overall in Dynasty.
Got Sam Laporta right now.
And then the year after was Sam Laporta, and then Bowers. And then you see the dip in production, right? And these random guys will start skyrocketing. I think Tucker Kraft's probably one of the best examples of what Gadsden could be, but the market's already overcorrected on Gadsden now. And I think that's kind of where it's at. I don't think it's necessarily a seller's market but it's corrected itself that they're like, hey, Tucker Kraft did this, and he kept doing it when no one paid attention. And you have guys like Jake Ferguson as well, like good honorable mention of him. You know, he's been a treat this whole entire year as well. So,
yeah, he's a treat for me as well. Kind of like everything you guys have said. I've been a fan of the player since the draft process. I was a little lower. I mean, I was high on him, but he wasn't in like my top 5 or anything like that. I'm not going to claim anything like that because he is a smaller tight end. It's usually hard for these guys to adjust to the NFL game right away. But Harbaugh seems to believe in him. He's doing everything they ask of him, and he's killing it as a receiving option for fantasy football. So we can't just, go against that. Now, if you want to overpay to come get him, like I'd be willing to listen. The first and the second, like Wizz mentioned, I would definitely entertain that. But, you're kicking that can way far down the road, so I'm willing to buy a Rondé for that price. But if you were to flip that to like a 27th first and a 28th second, yeah, I'm probably doing that because then, the value skyrockets for that 27 class right now. So I have 2 more trick or treat guys here that I want to touch on. Pause. That was crazy. You guys want one of the Do you guys want one of the lower value guys first or the higher value guys? Since we've gone high, the past couple guys, who would you rather?
Give us the bottom gunk in between the sidewalk that someone dropped.
All right, let's go here because I think you guys are not going to be a fan of this player at all because I remember some of the pre-draft conversation about him. This is going to be one Tez Johnson. He has been wide receiver 25 weeks 5 through 8 with all the injuries. Obviously, he's currently second on the team in targets in that time frame. But he's put up a respectable 10.1, 11.5, 15.8, 9.3 in these weeks. Wide receiver 71 on Keep Trade Cut. We are really far down the barrel here. But to me, and this is why I'm going to say treat for this player, I think he's played himself into a wide receiver 3 type role for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And we've seen that position or that wide receiver 3 in that offense be successful. We've seen it with Jalen McMillan the previous year. We're seeing it now with Tez Johnson. So there's a track record going forward. Obviously Mike Evans and Godwin are going to be back, but, Godwin's going to be tied to that team. We don't know what Mike Evans plans to do after the season with all the injuries he's had so far this season. I like Tez Johnson, especially, electric playmaker. I call him Tez the Rock Johnson, the most electrifying player on the field. Can make you miss in a phone booth. It can route up anybody. The biggest thing about him, and that's actually the smallest thing about him, is the size. He's a small guy, but he's making it work. The Bucs are doing a phenomenal job with him. If you could get him for that early third, maybe even a late second price, especially as a contender, could be all for that, right? And then maybe you have something going forward. I see Wizz's face, but what he's doing right now, you have to at least pay the early third, right? We'll start with you, Wizz, since you're making the faces. What do you think? Trick or treat?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I want you to say this is a trick. It's literally like attempted murder. He's putting razor blades in my candy, and it's not like good. You know what I mean? Like you're touting him out right now, like he's like been a wide receiver 1 or 2, right? He's wide receiver 64 overall right now. His best game,
but he's only
7.
played 4 games with.
Okay, his best game was week 7, where he scored 15 points, and then against New Orleans, a solid 9 points. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about giving up a late second for this guy that people just like scavenge off of a waiver wire because no one was interested in drafting him, right? I'd rather get Brandon Ayuk. That was one of my buys in the last show, right? For that late second. And we also forgot Jalen McMillan, right? Is he going to come back eventually? That's going to take away. I mean, Jalen McMillan's proved that offense, that he has that role in his offense, right? Tez Johnson's definitely benefiting from what he's from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers injuries this season. There's no doubt about it. When he's given time, he's shown a couple flashes, but it's for fantasy, it's not something I'm entertaining whatsoever, right? If I have him on a roster, I'm fine with flipping him for a third. You can have give me a third round pick, even in 26, because I just don't think he's one of those guys that are going to be longevity. Like he's good for an NFL team. I just don't think he's gonna be great for fantasy. And I mean, you mentioned about the size. I mean, he's 5'10". His height's good. He weighs 165 pounds. Like, he plays in
Those
Florida.
Devontae
There's
Smith.
hurricanes. He's going to get blown away, and he's going to – I don't know. It's not good. I mean, he's a Slim Reaper, Mike. Come on. There's no comparing Devonta Smith to fucking Tez Johnson.
You brought up
that's
the
slander
weight.
right there that you just did for Eagles fans. I hope they start lining up your house with pitchforks.
Listen, I understand what you're saying. That the late second is probably a lot, right? But you're paying for what he's doing right now, and that's a flex at best, right? And you want that on your roster to try to help you win right now because he's the wide receiver 2 in that pass-heavy offense right now. I'm all for it. TJ seems to be teeter-tottering between both of these. What do you think, TJ?
Well, I mean, to be fair, you both made some good points here. And, let me just say this before I talk about Tez Johnson in general. Like, I've said this a lot. Like, you got to pay attention during these drafts. Like, you really do. Like, there are teams, the Minnesota Vikings, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Steelers, like, they pick receivers at a huge success rate. I don't know what it is. They fit the system. It always goes well. So, like, when Tampa Bay takes a guy at receiver, your antenna should go up right away. That's the first thing. Now, so let me just say this. It just seems like, he's just a plug and play guy right now, and it's working. And I agree with Mike. Sometimes you got to pay for some production. Look, if I could get him for a third, I don't hate it. Like, I mean, I'm okay with maybe like 305, 304. I don't think I'd be willing to go much higher than that because I do agree with Wizz. Like, I really still low key like Jalen McMillan. Like, I think Jalen McMillan will do very well behind Emeka Egbuka when this whole thing comes together. Like, I think that pair will be a really nice, deadly duo. And the thing is, like, we see flash in the pan type guys, and I'm not saying Tez Johnson is 100% going to be a flash in the pan type of guy, but, like, look at Tank Dell. Like, Tank Dell come in, captured the hearts of so many people, like, oh, this guy, let's buy him. He's a great asset, tied to CJ Stroud. And now, look, I mean, you can't, I mean, no one could even get rid of him for a pair of socks, So you just got to be a little cautious for these undersized guys, but look, I give the kid credit. He's doing more than I thought he could do. He landed in a team that really helped him. And, Bob talks about this all the time. When these guys go to the league, if it goes to a team that's going to fit them and where they land, that's everything. To me, you can watch the film, and yes, that gives you a good indicator, but landing spot's almost just as important. Scheme's just almost as much as important. And, look, I mean, probably 304, 305, I don't mind it. He's just someone I don't see as a long-term answer. Like, I kind of agree with Wizz in a way of when he said maybe better NFL than fantasy, right? Like, I think he could definitely help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like he's doing right now, like as a spot start, this and that. But I just kind of agree, too, with the Jalen McMillan call out. Like, I think we are low on him as a community, just given the fact that we haven't seen him this year. Tampa Bay's having everyone succeed at wide receiver except for Jalen McMillan because we haven't seen him, right? So I'm just kind of going to go a little bit more on the trick side, but look, if I get him for a third, I don't hate it. I'll just add him depth piece, and we'll see what happens. Young player, maybe it will work out.
So Jalen McMillan, I just looked up his injury timeline. It's looking about December. Like Todd Bowles, he's really cryptic about describing his injury. He said, well, there's bones in his neck that broke, and they need to heal a certain way. I'm not in the medical profession, but he's in good spirits, and we hope to see him out in the field soon, is what he said. So, like, that does not give me confidence in Joe McMillan.
No. And they're talking about Bucky Irving. Every time you see a picture of him, he's got a boot on and a cast on his arm. So nobody knows what the fuck's going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
But Dory, Todd Bowles is not in the medical profession, if you didn't know, Mike. So.
Well, wait a minute. No, they're the Buccaneers. They probably have peg legs and eye patches. That's probably what's going on.
Oh, get Bucky a little hook.
Yeah. I know you guys are, Jalen McMillan guys, and that's I can't take anything away with what he did last season. I was consistently low on McMillan coming into the draft. The landing spot in Tampa Bay, I obviously now looking at it, it seems like it's a good fit for a wide receiver 3 team or for a third wide receiver on a team. I just don't know if he's better than Tez Johnson, in my opinion, right? To me, I prefer the talent of Tez over Jalen McMillan. That's just my opinion, right? I could be wrong. I could be way off. I just think one does so much more, has more big play ability, right? McMillan's a safer wide receiver. I can't go against that. But a guy like Tez who can create after the catch, who can just absolutely he's not fast, but he burns people. So explain that one to me. His 40 time was fucking awful. His entire combine was a train wreck. But I've seen the dude absolutely carve people up and sprint down that throw to him by Baker Mayfield in the end zone about 2-3 weeks ago now, where he had to stretch out to grab it. He tracked the ball extremely well. I think, Wizz, eventually Tez is going to electrify it. And I'm sorry it's going to happen to you, but, it's going to be like Ash when he gets Pikachu for the first time, just a quick shock. And I'm trying to give you a heads up already, but you don't want to listen? That's fine.
You were right about Bucky, but lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, and that place.
Well, to be honest, Wiz, it actually does fucking strike twice. If you ever watch weather, I've seen lightning strike more than twice
in the same place. No, I don't think so.
No, but I hate that saying. That's such a stupid saying.
It is such a stupid saying. It's like how long is the Earth for the live?
Lightning doesn't strike twice. I could watch fucking thunderstorms and see lightning strike about 6 times in 10 fucking minutes.
Mike, you forget the other half in the same place. That's a very key.
Yeah, but it's usually like people usually just say lightning doesn't strike twice. That's usually just the plain saying, right?
Right, but that's what they're implying is the other half. They just want to say a whole mouthful just to be like, yeah, that was rare to happen,
Well, they're fucking wrong with it, all right? But let's go to the last one here. And we got to go off on a high note. That is going to be one QB4 on Keep Trade Cut. Currently, the QB2, QB4 in points per game at 21.9. One Drake May, Drizzy Drake May, as Rich calls him. 5th in passing yards, 6th in TDs, 4th in QB rushing yards. Trick or treat on Drake May being a top 5 dynasty quarterback. Wiz, we'll go here with you first again.
Yeah, I wish my glacier would have drifted to Boston instead of Chicago, but it kind of just settled out there in the Great Lakes. No, I mean, Drake May's definitely exceeded all expectations this season, right? I think the only thing you can really knock him for is how easy of a schedule he has, right? I mean, Bills is the outlier, right? Mm-hmm. But other than that, I mean, his schedule is really not tough, and that's the things like. What are we going to see when the Patriots make the playoffs? Because they're going to make the playoffs with the schedule they have, right? And the AFC is a little bit of an easier conference this year to make it.
It's down from what we're used to.
Right, exactly. And so, I mean, New England's definitely going to be a playoff team this year. And I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to see what's going to happen in the postseason when he starts playing these upper echelon teams. Because eventually you're going to play good teams no matter how much you beat up on these lesser teams. But everything that he's done, with everything around him, I mean, Keyshawn Boutte is looking really good. And Stephon Diggs is showed, I guess, I wouldn't even say flashes. He showed a couple sparks there. A little underwhelming, but, Hunter Henry staying fed. I think if they could keep playing good complementary football where they're not making turnovers, right? I think fumbling's one of their biggest issues on that team overall. And it's going to keep and if they start ironing that out, I think their team's going to be way more competitive. It's going to help Drake May a lot more, right? Because you're going to be in the red zone a lot more. I think he still has a lot more of his ceiling to show, which is crazy to say because he's already flashing really. He's definitely a treat, especially where you can get him. And I would like to propose a conversation starter of Lamar Jackson 1-for-1 for Drake May. Is it too early to do that? No.
It's too early to do that for me.
Oh.
He's more in the Jalen Hurts conversation for me right now than he is Lamar, right? Lamar goes in that tier of Allen, Lamar, Jaden Daniels, however you want to put those three, fine. And then you got May with the Jalen Hurtses, the Justin Herberts, the Joe Burrows, however you want to put those guys. I'm fine with that. And that's why I almost want to borderline. I don't want to call him a trick, right? Because I think what he's doing right now is – phenomenal. I think he is a top 5 or 6 dynasty quarterback right now. It's just I've seen people say that, again, this is probably the homer in me. They would take him over Jalen Hurts. I don't know if I'm necessarily with that just yet. I mean, Jalen has kind of turned it on these past several weeks, especially passing the football. And then a guy like Justin Herbert, I don't know if I'm ready to put Drake May above him, to be honest, because I like what the Chargers have with Justin Herbert more than I like what the Patriots have with Drake May, right? I think that's a fair assessment because look at both offenses. Drake May's doing what he's doing with what he has right now, and that's great. But Justin Herbert on the other side already has the surrounding pieces, right? And he's doing what we want and more right now with Justin Herbert. So I think the conversation for me is if you're going to take him over Jalen and Herbert for age, okay, I get that. But I think it's kind of hard for me right now to put him above those guys, but it's very, very close. I go back and forth with those three and who I want to have ranked higher. So I'm not calling him a trick. He is a treat. I just don't know if I love the dynasty perception right now of Drake May. TJ, what do you think?
So he's my third quarterback right now in Dynasty.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's very, very high for me. Now, here's the thing, and in early prediction, I think New England wins this division. I think they do because the schedule, Wiz brought it up, very, very easy down the stretch. And you look at it, man, it's just green as a Christmas tree for Drake May coming up here. And, you know, what really sold me was that game against Cleveland. I mean, it started out slow. And, man, whenever they caught fire, and they just did not look back. And what I'm overly impressed with Drake May is just like, what was the big knock on Drake May, right? It was the decision-making. It was the bad decisions. And, yes, there's still been 3 interceptions, but, like, everyone made that out to be like the end of the world, and it's slowly getting better. But this team's got nothing around him right now, and he is doing this, running, throwing, and yes, a lot of it does have to do with age. But the big word is the C word. We throw it around a lot. It's culture. It's the New England Patriots culture, and I give them 100% credit in this because I think that they knew they could have been in jeopardy of screwing this kid up. What did they do? They went out and got Mike Vrabel. And how many times have I said this too? Like, when Ben Johnson went to Chicago, and I was excited about that move too, and I thought it was a good move. But if you look historically, young quarterbacks have the most success in growth and development under defensive coaches. It just for some reason, you look that stat up, it's true. Mike Vrabel is a great mind. I think that he's totally changed that whole situation around, and they are just starting to build the foundation of this. And I hate to say it, New England's back. They are back. They're going to be headed in the right direction. It sucks to say it because being a Steelers fan, but look, they're doing it the right way. They got their quarterback. I do think that they're going to add a serious weapon here. I don't know whether it be via trade or through the draft. They're going to look to do that. But, I mean, I low-key really like them. And I just look at everyone else. Like you mentioned Justin Herbert, Mike, and this is very close. And you nailed that when you said it's very close. And I can agree with you on that sentiment. My only thing is, like, it's just like I love Justin Herbert, but it can be so inconsistent at times. You know, like
That's
it's a
fair.
roller coaster. It can go up and it can go down. And when you're riding the highs, it's the greatest ride ever. When you go into the pitfall, you lose your lunch, right? Like it can be that bad at times. And the Chargers have had better pieces around him for a longer period of time, and the offensive line's supposed to be better. I just really look at this kid. I really like him. I give Ty a ton of credit on this because he has been all over, up, down, and sideways for a long time. And, yeah, I like Drake May, man. I do have him at 3 right now. I'm not trying to anoint anybody. And let me just say this. Last thing I want to say. If he takes a step back from what we've seen from this year to next year, I would not be surprised because this happens with young quarterbacks too.
Mhm.
We're kind of seeing it with Jane Daniels right now. People get in such a tizzy when that happens, like, oh, my God, I made a big mistake. No, you still got a good player here. When you can prove what these guys are proving, they can play really good high-level football at this league in this game. And as Wiz said, maybe the schedule's a little harder next year. Maybe they deal with a little bit of injury, a little bit of controversy as far as, like, things going on. Like, that happens in a season. So if Drake May goes from quarterback 2 to quarterback 11, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm not going to be panicked by it either. I think this guy's cool, calm, and collected. I think he's only going to get better, and I think the team gets better. I love Drake May.
Yeah, I like the call out that you have him at quarterback 3. I love to see that. I'm a little bit more hesitant, but again, I'm talking like putting him at 4 through 6, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not far off.
Yeah.
And I have him in that bracket with those 3 quarterbacks that I mentioned, and it's good company to be in, right?
Mhm.
You did mention turnovers, 3 interceptions. I would push back that he also has 5 fumbles. That is something that he has struggled with, even going back to college,
Right.
holding on to the ball a little bit too long, looking for the big play. Again, with the offense that he has, they do need big plays. That is something that they are going to have to work on with him, is holding on to the football. Wiz looked like he had something there. Go ahead, Wiz.
Yeah, I just want to call it Dark Sidious for spreading fake news. I don't know what quantable thing you're using for your math for coaches and defensive being better for young quarterbacks. But I mean, if you're based off a win percentage, offensive minded head coaches edge out defensive minded head coaches with a quarterback with 3 years of experience or less, with 51% to 48% win percentage.
That's win percentage, but I'm talking about quarterback development, their success rate, their hit rate is what I'm talking about, Wiz.
Yeah,
Not
I feel that's a lot more quantable that I can't really do research and pull up in the next 30 seconds.
To be fair, I heard that stat somewhere, and I can't even guarantee you that it's true. I'm just saying that that's something that I've heard, through the years. I don't know, is it an old wives' tale or not? But like, that's just something that people have said. Now, how much vitality there is to that, I don't know, but it kind of does make sense because they're going to insulate their guy. They're going to protect them. They're just not going to go out there and say, do this, do that. Let's not run a spider 2 wide banana like John Gruden. Let's go out there, play defense, run the ball, and we'll make you make the plays as you go, and then you get better. So, like I said, could be a wrong stat, but that's just what I heard. Defensive guys are a little bit better.
Yeah, well, 1 percentage wise, they're not. So
I don't win. Yeah.
Ooh, oh, God, here we go. Wiz is starting his shit an hour into the episode. But we have to get into the fear section here. Who are we starting to get a little bit nervous about? Is there right to be nervous? But I got to have a scary scream here. All right. So, because obviously it's Halloween. They had that as part of the soundboard here on StreamYard. Shout out to you guys. But let's start off with a guy that was mentioned earlier, and Wiz being the Bears Glacier Glazer and myself being a Caleb Williams supporter. Caleb Williams, are you terrified about him right now? Currently QB 12 on Keep Trade Cut, QB 12 on the year, and QB 15 in points per game, 17.5. We'll start with you here, TJ. Caleb Williams, are you scared or are you good?
Well, it depends on what we could consider scared. Is it like peeing down my leg scared, or is it more like staying up all night scared to wake up the next day? Like,
you tell me.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't say I'm quite peeing down my leg, but I am afraid to wake up the next morning because it is starting to get worrisome, right? I mean, like, this was supposed to be the turnaround year. You get the offensive coach, you get the guy we all wanted to go to Chicago. And look, I've watched a ton of Chicago's football games. They've been in a lot of prime time games. I have, NFL ticket. I watch a lot of it, right? I eat, breathe, and sleep it. One thing I've noticed with Caleb Williams, and it just has not gotten better, is the accuracy issues. Like, there are times, there are guys that are open, and I see Ben Johnson just like look up to the heavens like it was there. What happened? I mean, and I just think he gets happy feet. I can't remember who said that on the Dynasty DNA network, but it's like, it's almost like he just can't settle down and do the mechanics and plant his feet and go through the throwing motion the way he needs to. It's almost like he's trying to just tap dance around too much, and then he gets too excited, and then there he misses it. But yeah, it's very disturbing, man. Like, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to give up on the kid because, like, you look at it, there is still a lot of raw talent there. One thing I will say about Caleb Williams that I want to see more of is him running the football. Like, he
has done it more this year. I'll give him that.
He has, but like right now, okay, look, we're struggling to move it a little bit. Rely on his God-given ability. Like, I'm not saying don't look downfield and look for receivers. You got to develop as a quarterback, but like, if something breaks down to the point where it isn't there, or the first read isn't there, and the best you can do is get a 10-yard gain on the ground, take it, right? Take it. And then we'll go from there and we'll keep trying to develop this thing. But yeah, I mean, if I had to put it on like a scale, I would say I'm probably about at a 7 right now. I'm not a full-fledged panic, but I'm getting close. I'm getting closer. And I give, a lot of the guys credit on the network. They like to give us crap about that, me and Wiz and you particular, Mike, about this. But I do think that it could get better. But just given the fact that what I've seen with the accuracy issues, this should be something that should be getting cleaned up, and I haven't seen it. So I'm going to say a light 7, but I'm at a 7, and I hope it gets better soon. Maybe we'll see that, but I'm not going to overly panic, but I'm definitely worried.
Yeah, the off-target throws are kind of annoying, especially where he seems to, and I don't know if it's off-target or if he's trying to lead these wide receivers and he doesn't fucking need to. And that makes me think he's definitely throwing off-target. So it's super frustrating. Wiz, I'll let you go here first before I talk.
Yeah, I think you're talking about me, TJ, about he just doesn't settle in the pocket, right? I feel like a lot of times, right, if you kind of rewatch the games and you could not really worry about like watching football, and you can just pay attention to a single player, like watching film, right? You notice that there's times that he feels like he's under pressure and there's no edge coming through. There's no linebacker coming through. He's just freaking out for no reason. And then other times, he's running out of the pocket, right? He's making the correct play. It's just the problem when he's coming out of the pocket, he throws the ball as hard as humanly possible. Like, I'm surprised he doesn't have a shoulder injury right now. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Like, of all things, you're like, even like a check down, he just whips it as hard as he can. It's like, dude, it's a running back. Like, DeAndre Swift, yes, he's a pass catching back, right? But you don't need to throw it at him 80 miles an hour. So it's like these weird things and inconsistencies that he does a lot. And, I feel like he has a lot of pressure on himself to make the big play all the time, right? He was playing hero ball. It's almost like Josh Allen-esque of his early years, right? You always saw him make those idiot interceptions. And you're like, what were you trying to throw? Like, yeah, I see the one guy between three defenders, but you had a running back here for an easy check down. And that's kind of what happened in Baltimore, right? You tried to hit Rome Odunze doing a cross route, and Nate Wiggins jumped the route when he had Kyle Minogue wide open underneath that he could have ran 10 yards, got the first down, right? It's just simple things, right? But eventually, right, with these quarterbacks, you hope that it's good to have bad film. And with a head coach like Ben Johnson and a good system around him, I think having enough bad film is going to be able to correct itself later on. And, it's for like worry meter, I'm probably like maybe like I'm probably like, damn, it's kind of hard to put it out there. Maybe like Jason's the one that walks, right? Like he just comes over there like that, right? Yeah. I'm probably like at a Jason level of fear, right? Like I could outrun him, but he might walk up on me, sneak up on me, slash my throat, right? So it's probably like a 4 or 5, right? Like I'm not panic selling, right? I'm buying the dip if there is a massive dip, right? If I could flip like a guy like one of my buys, Daniel Jones, if I could add a little bit on top of Daniel Jones, especially in a non-contending roster, I'm 100% doing that. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of where I'm at with Caleb Williams. Like he's shown flashes this season, right? Which is what you expect, right? I know I was trolling to share a lot about Bears winning the division.
Oh, that dude fucking hates anything Bears related.
And now he's just so fearful of the Bears having any success. But and it's just like this is still their building up year, right? It's gonna take a little bit of time to build this team the way it needs to be built. And it's kind of the same way with New England, right? Something I want to go back and touch on real quick. New England's trading players away for draft picks. So they're not going to win it this year, right? They're not playing. They're still playing for the future. And that's something great you want to see around Drake May. But anyways, back to Caleb. It's just like there's a lot of outlook in Chicago. And if they can get these pieces fitting right, if they get Colston Level involved, that they spent a really high draft pick, eighth overall pick, 10th overall, something like that. Luther Burden, a high second round. Like you need to get these playmakers involved and see what you got out of them. And I agree with the TJ. DJ Moore should probably get moved at the trade deadline to one of these wide receiver needy teams. It would make a lot of sense. But yeah, I'm not overly worried. But if someone's offered me a nice trade for Caleb Williams, I will hedge my bet because I do have a lot of Caleb Williams.
Yeah, keep trade cut quarterback 12 feels like a good time to start buying in again.
Well, that's kind of where he was this offseason, right? He was like 8 or 10-ish.
I was going to say around 8, but like that's still a slight dip, right? And you got to get in on that as soon as you can because at the drop of a hat, it could flip because look what he was doing just a few weeks ago. He was starting to light the world on fire slightly, and we were all starting to kind of get hype about him again. It's been the him and Rome Odunze show for the past, entire season, except for maybe 1 or 2 games sprinkled in. Wizz said a 4 or a 5. I'm actually right there with him. Obviously, this is a brand new staff, a brand new head coach, right? And you got a quarterback who is still adjusting to the NFL. It seems like it's taking him a little longer than we all had hoped, and adjusting to a new quarterback or a new coach. I'm not worried. I think the pieces are there. I think there's obviously some things that they could adjust right here and there. I like the talent around him. I think we're okay. I think we're slightly overreacting to Caleb. QB 12 overall, QB 15. Obviously, we want to see something a little bit better than that, especially for a guy we believe is a QB 1. We want to see a little, but he's not far off. And I think as the season goes on, we're going to see some more flashes that we'll be happy with. He has the Vikings, who have been a little bit on a downslope, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They were starting out high. Still, Green Bay is going to be the fucking problem. Let's be honest here. But the Detroit Lions secondary seems to be falling every single week, having injuries. So I'm still well in on Caleb Williams. I'm not super fearful just yet, but let's get into the next guy. This guy I was high on coming into this season. I want to see if this horse is cooked. Evan Ingram, tight end 23, tight end 27 in points per game. Keep trade cuts, tight end 29. Wizz, Evan Ingram, are you fucking scared? Because I might be.
Yeah, and it's one of these weird things with Sean Payton that you have guys like Jeremy Shockey been years ago, right? He flashed in that offense, and
Jimmy
then you
Graham.
have Jimmy Graham, and then you have had other guys that are like we were high. I said before, Greg Dulcich, right? He looked real good, and then was it? I can't remember if Sean Payton came to town after his rookie year or it was during his rookie year, but. Right. It's just really weird of how that team wants to play and use their weapons. And I mean, for that, am I panicking on Evan Ingram? No. But do I understand that I'm cooked this season with Evan Ingram? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he's your tight end one. You're cooked.
Yeah, he's definitely like he's probably like a Jaws right now. That like if you're in the water, you're fucked. But if you get out of water and onto the shore and not just in a boat, because Jaws will still rip that thing up,
I've seen
he's not scary if you're watching.
We're gonna need a bigger boat, Wiz. I don't know if you remember that quote. It didn't really go too well for them. For a while.
So just stay off boats with Evan Ingram, I guess you're riding the boat down to the bottom of the ocean.
Stay off boats with Stephon Diggs too and the pink powder. But I actually am probably at like an 8 or a 9 if I were to be fucking terrified on this guy. We just talked about Troy Franklin's semi-ascension. We've talked about Cortland Sutton being the main guy there. And then you got the 2 running backs that are starting to, vulture each other. And then Marvin Mims shows splashes every now and again. Then Pat Bryant's maybe going to come along. I don't know where that leaves Evan Ingram. I had a lot of faith going into this dude this season. I thought he was going to show what he did just a few years ago with a high volume of targets because I thought, it would be him and Cortland Sutton. It obviously doesn't seem to be that case right now. So I am kind of out on Evan Ingram. Unfortunately, I have to eat crow on that one or eat Bronco on that one. TJ, what are you thinking?
Yeah, look, I still think that there's a way to potentially get out of this, right? It's ugly, but I'm like you, Mike. I'm a little bit more concerned. 31 years old, and one thing we know about Evan Ingram, and this year it hasn't been a problem, but health. So
even banged up early.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying the last handful of games he's been available, and it just hasn't been there, right? But my thing is it could only get worse. So that's why I'm just kind of looking to move out of this situation if I can. Like you said, it could be near impossible. Look, just knock on some doors, right? With maybe Elijah Arroyo owners, right? He hasn't done much, right? Maybe get him to a team and try to take advantage of that. And then you can maybe pick up on a guy like him that could, come along, a guy that we have low-key faith in that could maybe develop into something, okay? Maybe do something like that. You could definitely, how would you feel? Let's say you have him right now. Would you trade him for Dalton Schultz? I know it kind of sounds gross, but would you make a move like that?
No.
Because you almost got to get desperate, you know what I mean, to move this guy off the roster. It's ugly, but it's a shame. It really is. But yeah, he's someone that if I can get rid of him, I'm going to definitely try. I don't want to have him. I just don't think he fits with this team. He's advanced in age. Injuries have always been a problem. I love the player. I love to see those few outlier seasons he had in Jacksonville because I do think that he's definitely got talent. But it's just, and this is the last thing I got to say, tight end, it's just so scheme dependent. And if you're not getting the opportunities, then you're just dust. We've seen it. Like Ty said, we were talking about Jake Ferguson and Dalton Schultz. You remember Schultz in Dallas looked really solid, then he moves on to Houston. And this year he's doing a little bit of something okay, but Jake Ferguson takes that spot, and Jake Ferguson looks good. He gets schemed there, and Yeah, I just think like, look, maybe try to go for Elijah Arroyo, maybe try something like that, a low-key move. If I can't get that or a late second, I'll probably just go down with the ship. It sucks, but that's probably where I'll be at.
Yeah, I think a lot of what's happening is also, again, to mention Troy Franklin, kind of eating in to probably what they wanted to do in that intermediate part of the field with Evan Ingram. So that definitely could be a part of it. Wiz looked like you had something.
Yeah. So snap percentage is probably the most alarming thing, right? And that's one of the easiest ways you could track and be like, oh, okay, how many opportunities is he getting on the field at least, right? And it's like week 1, 34, 43, 43, 41, 47, 56, 43. And a lot of that is because they're not using them in run blocking. Yep. The highest he saw for run blocking, I had a PFF here in a week was, is this the run blocking stats?
In fairness, he's never been that good.
Yeah, so the highest he saw was I think I tabbed out on a different page now. I fucked it up.
But I got it.
I think it was like
he's at a
46%.
He's at a 43.4 grade on run blocking for the year.
But what about his run? But the times he's out on the field, like the snap percentage for the run blocking, that's what I was like trying to pull up.
67%, 42% for the year.
Yeah, so that's the main reason why. I mean, you guys touched on it, right? With RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins to be back there. Yep. Denver wants to run the football, and he's not the greatest pass blocker, right? He's a good vertical threat down the field, and just doesn't mesh with the system, which circles back to what TJ was saying, right? With Jake Ferguson, Dalton Schultz, and all that jazz. It's just it's frustrating. It is a 1-year deal in Denver, so it could get better next season. And I think that's kind of why, you got to go down with the ship, let jaws eat you, which is why that's, by the way, Mike, that's like my 8 or 9, I think.
So let me say this. This is the last point I want to add. And Wiz, you nailed it. He just doesn't fit the scheme there. The only hope you have, and what I'm saying is I'll take Elijah Arroyo. I'll take a second. If I can get that, I'll move him. If that, I'll go down with the ship, because there is one hope. Does he get traded this year, right? We know the trade deadline's coming. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but could you imagine if he did go to Tampa Bay, right? Maybe then
back to Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville, back to Jacksonville. You never know. So I'm just saying that could be a hope, but outside of that, that's your only hope.
Yeah, for sure. But let's get into the next one. This is going to be a guy that Wizz is really high on, and I can't blame everything on him because there's been some injuries here. It's going to be one Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver, 29 on Keep Trade Cut. Is wide receiver 29 in points per game. Obviously, I didn't want to use his total points because he's wide receiver 59. He obviously hasn't played a full season, or he hasn't even played half the season. But points per game, 13.1. Are you concerned about your guy Ricky Pearsall, Wiz, at all with this aging offense, with this offense that seems to never be healthy, or this team that seems to never be healthy, and the consistent injuries with him? Obviously, we can't take what happened last year, too lightly, because obviously the man was shot, right? We can't hold that against him, right? But this year it's been a lot of hamstrings. It's been kind of like what we kind of saw in college for him. Yeah, soft tissue stuff. Are you starting to get a little concerned about Ricky? Because I think they need to add wide receivers to this offense, by the way. I think that's something they need to address.
Oh, Brandon Ayuk's coming back, Mike.
Oh, God, here we go again. So, yeah, you want to talk about buying Brandon Ayuk, so you must be a little worried about Slick Rick.
No, right? With San Francisco's offense, right, there's enough opportunities to feed everyone on that team, right? Yeah. I probably had a Pennywise type scared, which means if you're a full-grown adult, you're safe.
To stay away from the dumpster, or stay away from the sewers.
Or if you're a kid, yeah, right? He doesn't fuck with adults, right? That's the main thing of it, right? Snatches till, I don't know, whatever. But the best outlook I could give, and the best way I could spin this, Mike, is that there was another player that suffered a lot of soft tissue injuries, and he was given the injury-prone tag for. I think he was off and on the field for the first 3-4 years of his career, and that was Keenan Allen.
Brandon Ayuk also.
Maybe it was Brandon Ayuk too, but either way, right? Keenan Allen is a guy like that, right? And you've seen guys like Christian Watson that kind of suffer the same thing, and he's shown flash. He's back from his ACL, right? He got a nice little 9-point game this past week.
Watson now to benefit.
Well, I'm just saying, right? Guys kind of will start figuring out the soft tissue, right? And it's. Maybe he could go to the college that Christian Watson, I guess, figured out that one of his legs was stronger than the other one. That's why he kept fucking up his hamstrings or whatever his excuse was, right? Maybe he could figure out something. But I mean, yeah, it's one of those things like you shouldn't lose your job because you're injured, right? And especially in the wide receiver room that 49ers have, it's nothing impressive. Like I was looking forward to Jacob Cohen this year too. I was like, he's gonna have a lot of opportunities because Slick Rick's down with the hamstring, and then he's down with the hamstring or whatever. Jacob Cohen's on the IR for. He's just stashed on my IR slot, not even taxi squad, just IR. And I think that sums up San Francisco's team very well, just IR. It's real frustrating. But I don't think this is a time to overreact, right? I mean, especially if you bought in this season, you're kind of stuck holding the package because what are you going to get for him? He's probably like you could probably get Troy Franklin. Like he's probably right around that one for one right now in value. And it's like, no, that's gross. I'm going to hold on to him. He's a first round draft pick. I liked his film a lot. I can't remember if you guys were huge fans of him, but and so that's kind of what you're holding out for, is for him to get healthy, and because he definitely showed flashes on the NFL field. It's just, can he stay out on the field, and that's kind of what you're banking on. And when he comes back from injury, has one good game, his value's going to shoot back up a little bit, probably not to where it was this past season, but enough to a point where you can sell him if you still want to get out of him, if you are scared right now.
Wiz, you have a chance to atone for your sins, the Khalil Shakir sins that you bestowed upon us on the Triple Threat podcast. Are you still willing to take Ricky Pearsall over Khalil Shakir?
I mean, obviously fucking not. I mean, I didn't know his hamstrings were fucking made of paper, of soaking wet paper that's been sitting out, and then it dried out in the sun, so it's real brittle, all nasty, Like, obviously, right. But I still stand by the point that I think Ricky Pearsall, when he's healthy, has a higher ceiling than Khalil Shakir. I mean, Khalil Shakir's definitely looked good this year. Especially his yards after the catch ability that he's really has perfected. Like from last year, I don't remember him being that tough, but I've seen him run through dudes. I'm like, pause. But I've seen him break tackles that like he wouldn't have broke before, and he's doing good. He's looking really good in Buffalo. It's just, is he going to keep getting that volume? Because Buffalo is a lot like Green Bay and everything else, that they like to spread the ball around. So it's like, is he going to make that one guy miss for that big gain this week, like he did last week, to get wide receiver 1 status, wide receiver 2, whatever?
Yeah, I think Ricky is starting to become appropriately priced for me in the wide receiver 3, even slightly lower than this. I would put him right around wide receiver 32, 33 if I had to look at my rankings right now. So he's starting to get there. I'm kind of just more concerned about him with the injuries with this team in general. What do you think, TJ? Fear?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be worried about the injuries, but like, I'm not overly concerned. I'm going to say probably about like a 5 right now on Ricky Pearsall, because here's the truth of it. This team needs somebody to come play wide receiver. They invested a first-round draft pick in him. I know, but my only question is, how's it going to look when him and Ayuk both are back, right? Like, I mean, how's that going to shake out? Because we haven't seen that really yet, I mean, we've seen Ricky Pearsall at the start of this year. It was looking like it was going to go pretty nicely for him getting that opportunity. He was doing pretty well. I mean, he was kind of a little hit or miss, but boy, when he was hitting pretty decent. And then he just, then the injury happened. So, yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see how they operate with both wide receivers. I'm not overly concerned. I do think he's going to get, a little bit more of an opportunity just because the draft capital's there, right? Like, we know that. And they know that they're dealing with injuries. I don't know what it is about the Chargers and the 49ers. The whole state of California, there's some kind of thing going on with injuries in that area. I don't know what it is, if it's the training, if it's the heat, if it's the water, something's going on.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. It's like year in and year out with that team or that state in general. It seems to just be awful. But I got 2 more here for you, and they're going to be running backs. We'll go with the guy that I think all of us were relatively high on as a rookie, Travion Henderson. And this is starting to get me a little bit more scared because there's rumors out there that they are willing to trade for another running back, which I will fucking throw up if that happens. Currently is running back 42, 49 in points per game at 6.6, which is absolutely atrocious. I actually don't have his keep trade cut value here. Let me pull that up real quick. But I am starting to get a little bit nervous about him. Every time, Vrabel kind of talks about him, it's never as positive as I would like it to be, right? It's kind of like, I don't want to say backhand. I don't really know how to describe it. I want a little bit more positivity around the conversation of Travion Henderson with Mike Vrabel. Currently running back 15 on keep trade cut, which feels low. But again, you can't fault him for falling that far, right? So what do you think? We'll start with you here, TJ. Are you starting to panic or get super scared for Travion Henderson?
Honestly, just as far as what you were hoping to get this year, what you're expecting, when you see what some of these running backs have done, like Quinshawn and Hampton when he was healthy to a degree, and you really are hopeful when you want some of that coming your way. And so many people believe in Travion Henderson. I am worried, but I'm not extremely panicked because here's the thing, right? Like you look at it like this, you kind of see Mike Vrabel do this with rookies. I just think it's just his coaching style. It's his way of doing things. I mean, he just doesn't overly trust him. Like I go back to Tennessee with Derrick Henry. That first year, Derrick Henry didn't see the field much. I mean, they had a shell of a DeMarco Murray starting ahead of Derrick Henry. And, down the stretch, we did see a little wee bit of Derrick Henry. So, I mean, I do think that there's still a lot of hope for Travion Henderson. But here's where I'm at with him right now. Just given the way this offense is going to be run from what I've seen, given the way that, they like to play football, I think that maybe his ceiling is going to be a little more capped than what we all hope for. Like, I think it's going to get better. I do think it's going to get better, but are we going to see maybe the next DeAndre Swift and Travion Henderson? And I know people don't love to hear when I say that, but maybe it's headed that direction. It's going to be boom or bust. It's going to be a little bit hit or miss. I do think that there's sunnier days ahead, but I just don't think you're going to get that dominant force. We talk about 3 down backs, right? Guys that can do it. I said it. I remember watching the film. I like Travion Henderson a lot. You can't be, dazzled by you got to be dazzled by everything you've seen on tape. But, why did Ohio State bring in Quinshawn Judkins? You had to think he was at least as good, if not better. They had to think that way, right? They wanted to win the national championship. I know they were concerned about injuries, but when you could get a guy like that, they felt like they obviously were making an upgrade or getting a guy that they could count on when times got tough. So I just kind of look at Travion Henderson. I'm definitely not as happy as I was. I'm just leveling expectations and preparing myself for maybe it isn't as good as we thought it was going to be, but he still could be a solid, good player, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar. I really don't. So I just expect level expectations, maybe running back 14 to 18s where his ceiling is going to be tapped out at, and I could see it.
Yeah, that would suck because I definitely have higher expectations for him than you have right now. And when he does get the opportunity, we start to see some of these flashes. We saw it in the preseason, right? Yep. We saw he had a nice run this past weekend. I forget what, I think it was over 20 yards. So that was good to see. Just a little frustrating right now. Wizz, how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's tough because it's one of those. I've not really dove into the film or watched many of the New England games. I mean, granted, he's getting 10-ish snaps a game, maybe a little bit more than that, right? Mm-hmm. But a few of the runs I've seen, it seems like his vision's not very good on the inside runs, and that's something maybe I've picked up on the 2 runs I've saw or whatever. You know what I mean? It seems like an outside kind of runner, and he has the speed, he has the explosiveness. It's just I think he might be lacking a little bit of the vision, and maybe a little bit of patience in there as well. That he's I got to get going right away, and that's that is coachable, right? That is 100% something he could improve upon, right? It's not you're not asking to add 30, 40 pounds on him, right? That's something that's not. This is a reasonable expectation for him to slow down and find a better vision. It's just how long is this process going to take, right? We heard that they liked him for his pass blocking, right? That most NFL scouts thought he was the best pass blocker in the class. Maybe that's why New England brought him on, right? You have guys like Ramondre Stevenson that's serviceable while running the football, right? He's nothing explosive, but then that's why you give it to Travion Henderson once a guy like Ramondre Stevenson breaks down the defense. And that's kind of, pivoting back to TJ's point about Ohio State with Judkins. I mean, Stevenson, Judkins, those are kind of comparable type players where they're good in between the tackles, right? They're going to wear down a defense. And then you switch to Travion Henderson. That's a fast, explosive guy like a Ken Walker, but he's better than Ken Walker. Calm down. Let's pump the brakes.
Thank God.
And that's what I kind of see right now. And TJ's point, I mean, Derrick Henry sat on the bench for a while there. Is this the same effect that's going to happen for Travion Henderson? He's a guy that I targeted in a lot of my redraft leagues, because I thought, he's going to come along in the later half of the season. And so far, it's kind of not really worked well for me. I have to start patching with, the Vidals of the world. Shout Vidal. And, it's just overall, I mean, just like I am worried, but I'm not worried enough to panic sell. And I'm not worried enough to turn me off from buying, right? I've been trying to buy them for teams that I'm no longer contending on. Like, I'll give you Josh Jacobs, you give me Henderson in a first. That's one deal I got done. So there is a market for stuff like that, especially on contending teams that want those points from the backs. Like you probably do Barkley as well. Throw him in there for Travion Henderson at first. I mean, maybe you guys aren't that. Maybe you're a little bit more out on me than Henderson, or would you guys do those deals if you're?
No, I would do that deal as a rebuilder. I'm not out on Travion at all. I will say I'm closer to like a 6.5 with fear on him right now. And I think that's a little fair because of kind of what we've seen. And I don't like hearing, now I don't think it happens. I don't like hearing that they're in the market to trade for a running back, right? They obviously are a bit thin at the position. Ramondre's hurt right now. Antonio Gibson is out for the season. So they are kind of down to Travion Henderson. I believe they brought somebody else on whose name escapes me, but I don't want them to bring in another running back. And if they do, I'm going to be extremely furious about that situation, because I did think we would see more from him than what we've seen so far this year. So that's why I'm a little bit more fearful.
Let me say this, Mike. Yeah, and I agree with you. It just depends on what kind of running back it is. If it's like Samaj, that if they just want to kind of fill what they lost with Antonio Gibson, I guess so be it. But like I hope it ain't nothing major, because then you're going to get a little bit more clearness in that answer. So.
Yeah, for sure. Last one here, and it's going to go with the color scheme of Halloween. The RB20 on Keep Trade Cut, Chase Brown. Currently RB18 on the year, RB24 points per game with 12. I know this is a guy I think all three of us were pretty low on, right? So it wouldn't shock me here if we're kind of all out on him. But I've never been a fan of the player, especially in between the tackles runner. He's a DeAndre Swift with probably a little less juice. Right, he's more of an outside zone runner. If I could trade him for like an RJ Harvey 1-for-1, I would do that in a heartbeat. I don't believe in the talent. I don't love the Cincinnati offensive line to really benefit as well either. We'll start with you here, TJ. Chase Brown, are you scared?
Well, I'll say this. I was a little higher on Chase Brown. I'm not afraid to admit what I liked in a player. But let me just say this. I was counting on Joe Burrow to be healthy this year. That was my first mistake, because I felt like this team was going to score a lot of points. I felt like maybe he could be a benefactor of that. I always said about Chase Brown, if you guys remember, like he was just one of them players in my mind. If he had the kind of season I was hoping for with Joe Burrow healthy, like I was going to reevaluate him next year. Like, okay, am I ready to move him now? Am I ready to move him now? He was someone I never felt as a permanent stopgap, right? But I did like him coming into this season. But I will say, things are getting a little bit better for Chase Brown thanks to the arrival.
A nice blow up.
Yeah, well, the arrival of Joe Flacco has really helped this whole offense, not just Chase Brown. I mean, it just shows you how bad Jake Browning was. But like you look at Chase Brown, and I've said this now. I mean, I kind of look at situations coming up. It's greener than a Christmas tree for Chase Brown coming up here down the stretch. A lot of good matchups. If Joe Flacco's healthy now, he is dealing with a little bit of something. If Joe Flacco's, it was something like that. If Joe Flacco's healthy, I think we're going to see solid high-end running back 2 finishes from Chase Brown, because I think the dump downs will be there. I think he's going to move the offense enough, Joe Flacco, to put them in scoring opportunities, which will benefit Chase Brown. But like, yeah, I mean, look, you'd be a fool to say, after what we've seen this year, you wouldn't be a little bit worried coming into the draft, because it just hasn't been good. And really, if you're Cincinnati, I'm looking at every position. If I'm the Bengals, outside of quarterback and outside of wide receiver, I'm looking at every position on my team saying I got holes everywhere, because I mean, they have needs. And I still think that they're going to try to build up this offensive line, and they definitely need to, but it ain't all sunshine and roses for Chase Brown. But I will not pin this all on him. I mean, we've seen Jamar Chase struggle. We've seen T. Higgins struggle until Joe Flacco took over. And then we kind of seen all three of them pick it up a little bit. So, yeah, I still think that, I mean, look, I'm worried about what's going to happen this offseason, going back to my earlier point, because that's how I always looked at him anyway. But as of right now down the stretch, I don't think he's going to be as bad as option as he was in the first half. I think he's going to be a little bit better than expected coming down the stretch if Flacco's healthy.
Yeah. Wizz, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't believe that the Bengals are going to try to improve their offensive line. You got to pay those
They
guys.
never will.
Yeah, they never will.
Yeah.
It's literally the meme of the of that shitty house with the Lamborghini parked in front of it.
Oh, the Bob reference. They need to build a garage for their cars.
Do you think, real quick, if they could go back, and I don't think they would, should they have drafted Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase
Yes.
and maybe taken a different wide receiver later on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you could say yes now, but I mean, the way Jamar Chase is so electric. I mean, T. Higgins is a good football player, but
Penei Sewell's the best right tackle in football.
Yeah, but it's
first or second.
But Jamar Chase is one of the best wide receivers, like first or second. You know what I mean?
But Wiz, Joe Burrow makes Andre Yoshivas look good if he's healthy. I mean, you just got to keep him up.
I don't know. Yoshivas dropped. He had
you leave Yoshi alone. You got Waluigi over here. You don't need to start speaking that.
Hey, I'm just saying. He had a big drop that gave the Jets their first win. But going back to Chase Brown here, his rushing grades were pretty. I mean, outside week 1, right, from week 2 to week 6. His best grade was 65.6. And then when Joe Flacco came to town against Pittsburgh, right, 78.1. And then last week against the Jets, 86.9. And the Jets defense, for what's worth, they played a pretty good game. I mean, they did let up a lot of points, but overall they locked down Bengals at the end of the game. And they also showed a little bit of flashes in between the game. But, I mean, it really – I'm trying to remember who had the argument with. It was one of you two. That you guys were like, well, look at Chase Brown's receptions. And I was like, maybe I was talking about Chuba Hubbard or maybe Swift or something like that. But anyways, look at me now. If it was Swift, I'm a genius. You guys are idiots. Overall, I mean, yeah, I think the biggest reason why he's doing so poorly up until recently is that Joe Burrow was out, right? They can stack the box with Jake Browning. They know he's only going to throw the ball to T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, so you can just double him. He's not going to look at anyone else, right? I think that was the problem with Jake Browning. He's like, fuck it, Jamar Chase is down there somewhere, which is usually good. It's a good – I think that's a good thing. Is like, yeah, just throw it wherever Jamar Chase is at in the field, he'll probably catch it. But in actuality, that's not a good plan, right? And that's why he had so many interceptions. It was disgusting. But I think the ship's getting kind of corrected a little bit. Hopefully Joe Flacco's arm does not fall off, kind of like what we saw with the Browns towards the end of the year that he had there. But, yeah, I mean, I'm probably at a 6 because I'm still worried. Probably a 6 or 7 just because I'm still worried about the shelf life of him, right? We talked about in the offseason that Chase Brown's one of those players you have to reevaluate it kind of every year to see where it's at. And right now, I might be a little bit more. I might be like a 7 now that I'm more willing to sell right now, and just flip him for he's not close to Josh Jacobs anymore, is he?
No.
Yeah, you used to be
RJ
Josh.
Harvey.
I've been talking a lot of shit about RJ Harvey, but yeah, I would do that. I think RJ Harvey's a better, safer long-term asset over Chase Brown. And I've been talking a lot of shit about RJ Harvey, mostly to rile up Mike and get him all worked up. But
yeah, I think I'm there with RJ. We'll go with one more here with Chase Brown versus Ken Walker.
Oh God.
Chase Brown.
Next one.
Chase
Do a
Brown.
different one. That's gonna be a clean sweep. You gotta make it
All right.
hard. You gotta make it hard.
I mean, where he's at right now, it ain't too great for. Oh, here
he's right next to Ken Walker. Is what you're saying his value is?
Yeah. It's
Holy shit! All right, I'm probably I'm gonna hold Chase. Don't sell Chase Brown right now. If the best you can do is Ken Walker, get the fuck out of here, dude.
Hey, how about I got one more for you, and he's actually older than this player, which is fucking surprising. Javonte Williams.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, look, if you're a contending, I mean, I hate Javonte Williams. I mean, I think next year he
Are
can
you
be,
surprised to hear Chase is older than him?
yeah, super senior colleges. You never know.
Yeah, true.
Some of these guys go, but no, I mean, look, if you're trying to win, I couldn't fault you for picking up Javonte Williams, but I will reiterate, it will get better for Chase Brown if Joe Flacco's healthy. I truly believe that. I think it'll get better down the stretch.
Yeah, I think I would take Javonte there. I kind of like what I've seen from Javonte in the Cowboys, which is crazy to think about because I was throwing all the types of dirt on this running back room in Dallas, and it's kind of kicked the ass. Yeah, it's been good. That offense in general has been really good.
We got to believe Jerry Jones more often when he said, "I'm very confident in my running back room." We don't need that.
Apparently, that's the only thing he's ever gotten right because he just lets his one of the best defensive ends in all of football go. But you know.
Now this might be a reach, and I'm looking at KTC. You probably saw him here, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do that one." But Cam Scatterboo, right, on a clear rebuilding team, I think this is probably a thing, especially because that guy was probably contending because Scatterboo was a later pick, maybe mid-second round. I mean, I saw him go in the back.
Scary though.
Yeah, would you guys be comfortable trading on a rebuilding team 1-for-1?
Rebuilding, yeah, probably, but I'm not going to feel great about it because I did not like the way that ankle fucking looked. Like, obviously, I'm watching the Eagles game and I saw it happen. I'm like, oh my god, please get this off my screen.
But on the bright side, the way Cam Scatterboo plays football, he has a touch limit, and this season he's not going to increase that touch limit for his career. So
the way he plays football, that ankle might not be on his foot in a year, right?
Yeah.
So. I don't know if that's the kind of words you want to put out there.
But the thing is, with Cam Scatterboo, like he's such a fantasy darling right now. Like the memes are been hilarious, right? You'd be like, you see the ones like, "Oh, coach, I'm ready to play." The doctor cleared me. It was like a dollar bill taped to it. Said, "Cam's good." And then there's like one of him playing football in the wheelchair, just running over people, flying out of the wheelchair. I was like, this is peak internet right now. But
I guess on a rebuilder, I'd think about it, but.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would definitely be something to think about. But I'm like, Mike, that injury looks so bad. Like, I guess where I'm at is like, I would just rather take the draft capital and gamble at that point, right? Like, I mean, if someone would be willing to maybe trade me the capital, I'd rather go that route.
That's fair. Yeah, I just think Cam Scatterboo is going to be a guy that's going to hold value for namesake for next year, and you can flip him before the season starts, is what I'm theorizing. And I could be wrong because I am an idiot.
You absolutely could, though, Wiz. You're right. I mean, people love the guy.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that will do it. We did our trick or treat segment and our fear factor segment a little longer than I imagined, but let's get you guys out of here because some of us have to go to bed, Wiz. We can't, we're not in that time zone where it's a appropriate hour of the evening. But let's say, our goodbyes, our farewells. TJ, where can they find you and everything you got going on first?
Dynasty DNA Fantasy Football, man. We got a huge podcasting network, Triple Threat Podcast, Dynasty DNA Deep Dive from whistle to whistle. Start them, sit them Saturday. 4 or 5 shows a week, Spotify, Apple Pod, YouTube, Twitter. You can find us all over there.
Wizard, where can they find you in the Dungeons and Dragons realm?
Yeah,
or the Mario world because you got that Waluigi fucking month. That thing is
Mike, you have one tweet that blows up, and now you're acting all smug. Like I'm not even gonna mention my Twitter. You can just find me. You can find me in Mike's basement where he has to be chained up right now. So free me. Start the hashtag. Get 750,000 views, Mike. But no, the Triple That Podcast, it's just us three there. It's always a good time. Me and Mike always argue back and forth. It was fun this time because I feel like I can't target the host because they got to keep the show on the row. So I was able to throw some jabs at TJ there. But overall, it's a good time. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Wizz FF. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that will do it. I am Mike Anthony. You can find me at Dynasty Dog Mike on X. But Rich and I always say at the end of every episode that mental health is extremely important to all of us. Make sure you are reaching out to somebody if you are struggling. Make sure a friend, a coworker, a family member, doesn't matter. Your pets. Sometimes your pets are your best friends when it comes to that. But Rich always says we'd rather talk with you than talk about you. And just remember that someone out there loves you. So for the fantasy football universe and the Dynasty Dogs, we will see you guys next week. Have a good one.